Welcome to the Community Health Worker Instructor course. This course will prepare you for certification as an instructor in the state of Texas. You will attain competencies in the following skills: communication, interpersonal, service coordination, capacity building, advocacy, teaching, organizational, and a knowledge base on specific health issues. Please remember to turn off autoplay in the upper right-hand corner of your screen so you won't feed into the next video. Let's begin. This video is about lesson planning, the creation of effective lesson plans. This video will help you become more familiar with how to prepare to write a lesson plan, the elements of a lesson plan, SMART goals, the ABCD method, how to choose handouts and teaching props, including activities, and assessment of learning. Before preparing a lesson plan, the instructor must consider who his or her target audience will be. He or she must determine if his or her instruction will be for an individual or a group. The instructor must also give consideration to the learning needs of the students. Is this instruction towards learning a skill, building knowledge, or developing a proficiency? Once the instructor has these questions answered, he or she is ready to begin writing the lesson plan. A lesson plan describes how learning is to be organized and documents specific plans for teaching. Lesson plans may take a variety of forms. We will provide you with a sample lesson plan format, but you are free to choose a format that best meets your needs. Lesson plans should include 5 elements. These elements are learning objectives, materials and resources, activities, assessment, and wrap-up and reflection. A SMART goal is defined as one that is specific, measurable, achievable, results-focused, and time-bound. Specific. Specific goals should be simplistically written and clearly define what you're going to do. Specific is the what, why, and how of the SMART method. Measurable. Measurable goals should be measurable so that you have tangible evidence that you have accomplished the goal. Usually, the entire goal statement is a measure for the project, but there are usually several short-term or smaller measurements built into the goal. Achievable. Goals should be achievable. They should stretch you slightly so you feel challenged, but defined well enough so that you can achieve them. You must possess the appropriate knowledge, skills, and abilities needed to achieve the goal. Results focused. Results-focused goals should measure outcomes, not activities. Time-bound. Time-bound goals should be linked to a time frame that creates a practical sense of urgency, or results in tension between the current reality and the vision of the goal. Without such tension, the goal is unlikely to produce a relevant outcome. There are 5 easy steps for writing a SMART goal. Step 1. Write a specific goal statement. Step 2. Define how you'll measure your progress. Step 3. Consider, is your goal attainable? Step 4. Is your goal relevant? Step 5. Is your goal time-bound? Here's an example of a SMART learning goal. At the end of the presentation, the community health worker student will be able to identify the 5 steps for writing a SMART goal. We will know that we have attained our goal as community health worker students. We will be able to identify the 5 steps for writing a SMART goal. The goal is attainable. It's realistic to believe that community health worker students can accomplish this goal once they have received instruction. The goal is also relevant. The student needs to be able to write SMART goals to be successful as a community health worker. The goal is also time-bound. The student will be able to meet this goal by the end of the presentation. What we've created here is a SMART goal. Let's talk now about writing objectives using the ABCD model. There are 4 parts of an ABCD model for writing learning objectives: audience, behavior, condition, and degree. The audience. Consider describing the intended learner or end user of the instruction. Behavior. Describes the learner capability. It must be observable and measurable. Condition. Equipment or tools that may or may not be utilized in completion of the behavior. And degree. States the standards for acceptable performance, such as time, accuracy, proportion, quality, etc. Questions to ask when developing ABCD goals. Who is to exhibit the performance? What observable performance is the learner to exhibit? What conditions are provided for the learner at the time of evaluation? What constitutes a minimum acceptable response? Here's an example of an objective written using the ABCD model. The community health worker student will demonstrate with significant accuracy the ability to interpret patients' blood glucose readings. Choosing handouts and props to support your class. Listing the materials and resources that will be needed for a class, whether it be a simple photocopy or a piece of equipment, will make lesson planning more efficient and the class run more smoothly. Use real and current reading and sample materials wherever possible. Use of an employment application from a local business will be more meaningful for adult students than would be a generic application photocopied from a workbook. Additionally, current newspaper articles, magazine articles, and journal articles will be more relevant to adult students as they will be able to relate to the relevancy. Activities for your lesson plan. Determine the steps of the activity and how long the activity or activities will take to conduct or to complete. Create activities that are clear in focus, engaging, and that relate to learner interests. Use an introductory activity to get students engaged in the topic and connect to and assess their prior experience, and use that information to adjust the lesson if necessary. Manage teacher talk time so learners are active participants throughout the learning process. Make adjustments as needed for students' varied learning styles, learning issues and disabilities, or learners that may have greater knowledge and skill than their classmates. Remember, the most important thing is to select the learning strategies that best suit your audience. Assessment. How do you measure that you learned what you were supposed to learn? Assessments used to plan and adjust for what will be taught and to provide feedback to learners. Assessment must directly measure whether each learning objective was met. An assessment must use a variety of methods to capture learning. 2 different types of assessment are formative and summative. And formative assessment, in-class activities, in-class deliverables, reflection, homework, and polls and surveys fulfill this type of method. Summative assessment utilizes tests, papers, and portfolios to assess whether a learning objective was met or not. Wrap-up and reflection are a way for learners to capture the high points. For example, what is the goal for learners to take away from the lesson? It provides opportunities for learners to actively monitor their own progress. Wrap-up and reflection gives learners the opportunity to summarize what they learned or to apply what they learned to other contexts in their life. You may want to ask learners to evaluate the class or activities, ask for ideas for the next lesson. Make sure to allow time for students to process questions and their responses. You'll want to discuss what worked well. Did any positive unintended consequences occur? that you could remember for the next time the lesson is used or adapted? What should be changed in the lesson to be more effective? This is a good opportunity for the instructor and the student to close out the lesson. Here you can see a sample lesson planning form that may be helpful when you craft your future lessons.